In this series of lessons, we're going to be talking about the Seder of Pesach, especially the way the Rebbe would make the Seder. Because as Chassidim, it's important that we know exactly the way our Rebbe behaved on this most important night of the Seder. But let's first give a little bit of background so that we understand the concept of the Rebbe's Seder. What does that even mean? So here goes. When the Friedrich Rebbe came to America, it was in the year Tafshin in 1940. In the first few months when he lived here, he didn't have a place that he actually called his home. He went from one hotel to another hotel, till finally, a couple of months after he moved here, in Elul of the year Tafshin, he bought the building we know today as 770. 770 had 3 floors, and it was going to be perfect for all of the Friedrich Rebbe's needs. He chose that he would live on the second floor. You can see that in the picture here that I'm putting up. The red marker all around the second floor, that's where he lived. That's also where he would hold Farbrengens. That's also where he had Yechidus. And of course, what's relevant to our discussion, that's where he would hold his meals on Shabbos and Yom Tov, including the Seder. Now, the Rebbe came to America a little bit over 1 year after the Friedrich Rebbe came, in Sivan of Tafshin Aleph, which means that the first time he was in New York for Pesach was the next year, Tafshin Beis. Now the Rebbe ate the meals right near the Friedrich Rebbe. On that picture I'm going to bring up right now, the Friedrich Rebbe's apartment. You could see his dining room table. And you could see that by the green arrow, which is the chair at the head of the table, that's where the Friedrich Rebbe would sit. And at the blue arrow, which is the chair to the Friedrich Rebbe's left, that's where the Rebbe would sit all the time. And the Rebbe would be there on Shabbos and Yom Tov and on Pesach, making the Seder. Even after the Friedrich Rebbe passed away, in honor of the Friedrich Rebbe's wife, Rebbe Medina, the Rebbe stayed on to make the Seder, and every Yom Tov he would eat in that apartment of the Friedrich Rebbe. He never changed his place. He never took the head of the table, even after the Friedrich Rebbe passed away. He always, out of honor, sat to the Friedrich Rebbe's left. And if you think about that, the Rebbe stayed upstairs until the Rebbe Medina passed away, which was in the year Tafshin Lamed Aleph. So from Tafshin Beis until Tafshin Lamed Aleph, there is 29 Pesachs. And if you do 29 times 2, because we do 2 Seders every year, that's 58. Which means the Rebbe made 58 Sdarim upstairs in the Friedrich Rebbe's apartment. And people were always allowed to watch. In fact, the Rebbe wanted his Chassidim and his Bachrim to come watch. So we have a pretty good idea of many things that the Rebbe did by the Seder. And we're going to go through as many as we can so that we can each copy those things that our Rebbe did by his Seder. But first, let's just do a little refresher. I'm going to bring up a picture which is going to have all the 15 steps of the Seder. The word Seder means order, because on the night of Pesach, it's important that we do everything in an order. And we have 15 steps to this order. Many of you might remember it with a song, and I'm just going to go through and read them very quickly and explain basically what they are. And then when we get into them during the future lessons, we're going to talk about them more in detail. So step 1 is Kadesh. That's when we make Kiddush. Like any Shabbos or Yom Tov, we proclaim that the day is holy and we thank Hashem for giving us that day. Urchatz is when we wash our hands, just like before bread, 3 times on each hand, as a preparation, though, not for eating bread, but for eating karpas, which is the 3rd step, the vegetable dipped in salt water. Yachatz is when we split the middle matzah so that we could recite the Haggadah over it. Magid is, of course, the longest step. Some of us, it's the most boring, when we read the whole Haggadah and tell the whole story of Pesach. Rachza is when we go wash again, this time really to eat hamoitzi. Of course, not bread, it's chametz, but we're going to eat matzah. The next two steps are moitzi and matzah, when we make the bracha on the matzah and when we actually eat it. Morer, then we eat the morer, the bitter herb. Koirich, we make the sandwich between matzah and morer together. Shulchan Aruch is when we eat the Yom Tov meal. Tzafon, after the meal we have the Afikoman. Beirach, we bench. And Halel Nirtza is when we say the final paragraphs of thanks to Hashem and we hope that our Seder was accepted. Now that we have the basic background, we're ready to go into our future lessons to really examine every part of the Seder and the way the Rebbe did it. So after you've done this video, you're going to take the quick quiz, which is going to be a basic refresher for what we just learned, basic review, and I'll be able to see that you filled that out. Additionally, you're going to also have a mission, and your mission is to find a Haggadah Shel Pesach somewhere in your house and take a picture of yourself with the Haggadah open to the page that has the 15 steps of the Seder. Kadesh, Urchatz, Karpas, that whole thing. I want you to get a picture of yourself with that page of the Haggadah, and you're going to send it to the number that I'm going to post right under this assignment. See you tomorrow, boys.